We are live now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the AEZ Boost Hackathon Demo Day 2. We're live and welcome, everyone. So, super excited to kick off the second demo day with permissionless Interchain DAO, Polka, Chain Defender, and Warp CLI. This was one of the best hackathon project that we've seen on DoraHacks. We are super excited to co-host it with Atom Accelerator DAO. And AEZ Boost started as the first global hackathon for the Cosmos Hub, focusing on infra and tooling. So maybe we can go in the order of permissionless interchain DAO. Udit can present first, followed by Polka, Edward from Polka, then John from Chain Defender, and David from Warp. Super excited to see what we have today. Yesterday, we kicked off and finished the demo day 1 with two teams, 42 Finance and Easy Pay, which was also some of the great builds that we've seen. So yeah, with that being said, welcome everyone once again. Let's kick it off with permissionless interchain DAO. Udit, you can go now. Also, meanwhile, anyone who's watching from YouTube or a Binance audience, if at any point you have any questions, feel free to put it down in the chat and I'll take it up with these projects.
Yep. Okay, so hi everyone. I am Udit from Cubic Labs. So Interchain DAOs. First of all, so this project is essentially okay. So the full name actually is Permissionless Accelerator Interchain DAOs. The purpose here is to fund those projects that build not just for one blockchain but for multiple blockchains. For example, there are multiple DEX chains like Osmosis, Kujira, and Crescent. So if someone is building a module that would help a DEX, all three of these chains would require that module, and all of these three would be willing to fund that project. And each chain has their own community pool to fund proposals, and you can see in the community pools of Cosmos Hub or Osmosis or Juno or any other Cosmos chain that anyone who wants to get funded for their work that improves the infra of the chain or add some value in any other form can
Hey,
put out the proposals.
I'm so sorry to interrupt, but maybe can you share your screen again? I can only see a black screen.
Okay, yeah. Okay, can you see the screen now?
No, I can't.
Okay. How about now?
Yes, now I can. Perfect.
Okay. So, as I was saying, so there are these chains with their own community pools that are used to fund products and anything related to development for that particular chain. And there are accelerator DAOs, like even Atom Accelerator DAO is for Cosmos Hub, Osmosis grant program is for Osmosis. That kind of further facilitates this funding of these proposals with further manual interactions with the team, combining the on-chain governance and the off-chain, let's say like analysis, or like just checking if the project is worthy of giving funding or not. So yeah, so this works perfectly fine for just one chain, but similar situation is not there present yet for multiple chain scenario, as I mentioned before, in case of these three chains that have their DEXs. Or another example could be there are like more than 10 chains that have Cosmosm now on Cosmos. So if there's any module that improves the functionality of Cosmosm, all of these chains would be willing to fund that. And it would be much easier to get funding for such proposal because now each of these chains is providing part of the funding, not the whole amount. So that's what our project does, and it does it completely permissionlessly, meaning that the whole mechanism is similar to how anyone would make a proposal to a community pool, and it does not require anyone to manually move funds from one chain to another and then create a DAO over there and then create another token to have voting. Users can just use their staked Atom, staked Osmo to vote for these proposals on these DAOs. So yeah, okay, let me just show you one demo. So for the demo, what we have done is that we have created our own like private networks, which is like a replica of 4 networks that are currently running, which is Cosmos Hub, Juno, Neutron, Osmosis. And so the main contracts, the DAO contract itself sit on Neutron chain, and all the community pools of Hub, Juno, and Osmosis are connected to these contracts. So okay. If you look at the general architecture, you can roughly like partition it into 3 parts. There are like 5 contracts. One is the DAO core itself that has other 4 contracts connected to it. One is the interchain query, helper, interchain, account helper, proposal module, and voting module. So, okay. So first, let's say someone who wants to get funded for their proposal. Let's say there's a DAO for Osmosis and Cosmos Hub, meaning that this DAO will contain some part of Atom and some part of Osmo from the community pools of each of these 2 chains. The first step would be to create the DAO itself and specify what's the proportion of these 2 chains is going to be in this DAO itself, in the treasury of this DAO event. So once that is defined, anyone can create a proposal to bring some funds from the community pool of Cosmos Hub or Osmosis to this DAO. And once that proposal is created through the DAO itself, the voters of, let's say, Cosmos Hub can vote whether we want to fund this through our community pool or not. And if this passes, the DAO will then create another transaction to transfer all of these funds from Cosmos Hub community pool to the Neutron chain itself. And similarly, you can do so for Osmosis. So once the DAO has some Osmo and Atom from these 2 chains, now the actual builder who wants to get funded either in Atom or in Osmo or in both can create another proposal saying that, okay, this is my project and these are the details. Could be a PDF document on IPFS, similar to how community pool spend proposals are. And if that proposal passes, the recipient will get some Atom and some Osmo, whatever they have defined in the proposal itself. And so for this proposal, the stakers of Cosmos Hub and the staker of Osmosis can directly vote on this DAO. They don't have to create new tokens on the DAO itself. As an example, like here I have 3 DAOs. The first DAO is a combination of Cosmos Hub, Osmosis, and Juno. Second is just Hub and Osmosis, and third is for Juno Osmosis. So here you can see like these 2 chains, you can see how much funds currently are there in the respective community pools on each of these chains. And also you can see how many of that fund has been transferred over to this DAO itself. Currently, it doesn't say, it doesn't have an asset because none asset has been transferred yet. So if you create a proposal, you can just specify bring some funds from Cosmos Hub. And you can say for the initial amount of funds from Cosmos Hub, and you'll select. So there are 3 types of action that are performed. First is to propose funds from the remote chain itself, from the community pool. Second is once that proposal passes, that means the community pool has given you as a DAO permission to take that certain amount from the community pool itself. So the second proposal you can create to bring that fund to the DAO. And third is that once that fund is there in the DAO itself, the spend fund can be executed, which essentially is saying that, okay, whatever amount this DAO holds, now other people can jump in and create the proposal and get funded for their work. So here you can select whether you want to get funds from just the Cosmos Hub or just the Osmosis or both of these. So here I'm just getting funds from Cosmos Hub. I'll just specify some amount and I'll execute this transaction. Yep. So now you can see. Okay. So this proposal is now in its voting period. Anyone who has their atom staked can vote for this proposal. If this one passes, the DAO will create a community spend proposal on Hub. For example, if you see here, if I go for the governance proposals. So once that passes, there will be a community spend proposal in the voting period over here. I can show you previously we have created one which got passed, and we got 2 atom from this. So now once you have this atom passed, you can create another proposal which is saying that, okay, I want to bring those funds from that remote chain, and you can specify the same amount as you did before, and it'll again transfer the amount from that remote chain to the DAO itself. So in summary, what this project does is that if you want to fund as let's say a combination of multiple chains to a public good, you don't need to delegate these to manually to a team to make sure that, okay, everything is going fine or not. The whole process can be automated, meaning that it's permissionless. It leverages the interchain accounts and interchain queries, which are the 2 very popular implementation applications of IBC. So querying how much voting power each of the network has, again, that doesn't have to be done manually. That can be done through interchain queries. And yeah, so thanks, and let me know if you have any questions.
Thanks a lot, Udit. Super interesting. Absolutely love what you've built. I just have a couple of questions over here. So one, how do you see the expansion of the product? Let's say, what does integrating other chains from Cosmos looks like? What's the timeline like? And yeah, second, seeing and understanding that community being a super important part, although it might be a little early for you. But how do you see community onboarding on your product?
So this project is sort of like an experiment for us, just to see whether this thing actually can work or not. So this, I would say, is a proof of concept that, okay, this can be done. And yeah, I think the next step would be just to reach out to, for example, Atom Accelerator DAO or Osmosis Grant Program, and understanding how they do public good funding and how their operations can be somehow connected with this project itself, and defining a timeline on making a production ready version of this, and just making sure that, okay, if we go live with this on mainnet, everything would go as expected and would fulfill the demands of let's say the builders and the provider who are providing grants.
Got it. Interesting. Yeah, so anyone watching us today, what would you say is the best place for them to reach out to you? Let's say if anyone has any feedback, wants to contribute in any form, how can they find you?
So we have our GitHub. Actually, there is cubic.labs.xyz website that has all our socials, Twitter, our Telegram, and our Discord. And you can also check out the links in our project. We have this project as open source. You can check out the contracts. You can check out the interface. It's github.com/cubiclabs. And yeah, you can also reach out to me. I think my username is Udit Gulati on Telegram, Udit Gulati00 on Discord. So yeah.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Udit.
Thank you.
Yeah, with that, we will move on to Poca. So Edward, you can take it away.
Sure, thank you. Let me set up. Okay. Okay, is everything visible?
Yep, all good.
Okay, great. All right. So I'll start. Yeah. Hi. So I'm Edward from S16 Research Ventures. We are a validator based in Indonesia, and today we're super excited to share a submission to AEZ Boost Hackathon. It is Polka, the blockchain to manage and protect your interchain assets. Okay. So The problem we've identified is that the ability to inherit digital assets between family members or team members, both vital and essential for crypto adoption. Sharing seed phrases does not really resolve this in any meaningful way. When funds are lost, who is accountable? So the solution we've created is Polka, which is an on-chain fund recovery protocol built on the Cosmos SDK as a complementary security wrapper for existing wallets, and is implemented as an IBC-enabled app chain. How it works is a user appoints guardians on the Polka app chain who can initiate a fund recovery process for user accounts on other chains. Security is elevated through the following features, which is there's a mandatory waiting time before the recovery begins, and the recovery happens through daily transfers over a period of time. So funds can only be, and then finally, funds can only be transferred to whitelisted accounts. So to share a little bit about the product demo, we've set up 2 accounts here on the Cosmos Hub testnet. This account has the funds, and there's 1 atom here. This other account on the Cosmos Hub testnet is where the funds will be sent to, and there's a negligible amount, pretty much 0 amount. So moving to our UI. So this UI, we use some of the components from created by the Regen network team. So I want to extend my thanks to them. We also built our own components into this and wired it up to the Polka testnet. We have a group here, which we've called the Fund Recovery account, and the number of members is 3. We'll go ahead here. We've already pre-prepared the transaction, ready for execution. If we click on this and check it out, so 2 yes votes, 1 no votes, this should be enough to pass the threshold. You can see here that the funds will be transferred from this account and sent to this account. There will be a transfer of 0.2 atom for every day for the next 5 days, starting from November 10 UTC 2 a.m. till November 14 UTC 4 a.m. There's a buffer of 2 hours here just because blockchain time can lag and it can vary. So yeah, so let's execute this. Okay, the transaction has completed. I mean, as you know, the transaction will be happening over the next 5 days. So actually, we won't be able to visualize or see the results right now. But I guess like this video is streamed and recorded. So I mean, if you guys want to take a screenshot of this address, or maybe reach out to us, and we're happy to send you the address where you can verify. But you'll see over the next 5 days that all the funds will have moved here in 5 different transactions of 0.2 atom each. We can take a look at the group details here, some of the details of the group, their chain account, whitelisted account. And over here, you can see that the transaction is scheduled for the next 5 days. All right, great. So how do we do this? Well, we utilize interchain accounts, interchain queries, and AUTH-Z to transmit transactions through a designated account on Polka. This account is basically a proxy for the user's primary account on other chains. To implement the validation logic, we've built custom modules, 3 custom modules. We've created the ICA policy, which establishes validation logic for whitelist and transfer limits, among others. We have the ICA TX module, which checks the transactions against the corresponding validation logic. Finally, there's the ICA transfer module, which orchestrates the transfers according to its parameters, such as schedules and limits. So we've built the following features. We have recurring transfers, we have transfer limits, we have daily limits, we have whitelisted addresses, scheduled transfers, and if you combine all these features, you essentially can create a fund recovery that is more secure, on-chain, and is initiated by users or appointed guardians. A little bit of a teaser, I think in version 2, we'll have a subscription module as well. Still early, still building it out. But yeah, so today, that's what we have to share. Yeah, thank you. Let me know if there's any questions.
Thanks a lot, Edward. Very intriguing. Can you talk a little more about the fund recovery bit and how by combining all the features can we envision that?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, just can you talk a little more about fund recovery and how by combining the other features that you spoke about, can we set up fund recovery or envision that feature?
Okay, sure. So one of the things with fund recovery is there's this concept of social recovery now. And what we've implemented here is that sometimes you have guardians. Sometimes there's guardians who will help you recover the funds. Let's say when you lose your main keys. But at the same time, what if they execute it and you don't notice? Which we feel like that's why a mandatory waiting time, as well as breaking it into multiple transfer over a period of time, gives you a chance to react. An email comes in saying that the fund recovery has been initiated, and you're like, wait, I didn't initiate this, I didn't approve this, and yet you can cancel it. So it's a lot better. Plus, there's whitelisted addresses. So even if the fund is moved out without you knowing, there's already specific addresses that it can only be transferred to, and hopefully you've created a whitelisted address that you can control. So this is how it all kind of comes together.
Got it. Thanks a lot for that, Edward.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, again, same for you. If anyone wants to reach out, contribute, or ask any question, what would be the best place for them?
Yeah, you can reach out to me or anybody on the team. We have a website, I think in DoraHacks as well. I think all our contacts are there. Twitter, Telegram, website, email. We'll be on top of it.
Thanks a lot, Edward.
Great.
Yeah, with that, we move on to the third project of the day, Chain Defender. So John, from Chain Defender, please feel free to take away the light. John, you're on mute if you're speaking.
Yep, can you hear me now?
Yes, all good.
And can you see my screen?
Yep, let's go.
Okay, awesome. So Chain Defender, we're building AI tools to find and fix smart contract vulnerabilities. And the problem that we're addressing, audit companies are expensive in both time, it takes like months, and money, it's 20,000 for an audit, up to hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on the complexity of the audit performed. And the way that Chain Defender tries to solve this problem, basically, it saves a lot of audit time, and you're able to get vulnerability reports in hours instead of months. So initially, I was building on the Terra ecosystem, building an NFT contract and marketplace contract. And when it was my first contract, and I just like put it out there. And when I was trying to figure out how to push it to mainnet, I was getting these audit quotes back like $50,000, and it would take like many, many months because this was several years ago in the bull market on Terra Luna. So I didn't have $50,000. I didn't have like many months to wait. So, I just ended up launching it. And luckily, nothing bad happened. I didn't have any vulnerabilities in my contract, but that experience stuck in my mind. Like, what if I have to get like smart contracts into production all the time? It's going to be really expensive. So that was the genesis of Chain Defender. And for the AEZ hackathon, we participated in a previous hackathon, Nibiru Chain, and we upgraded a bunch of different factors from version 1 to version 2. So version 1, we were able to capture 5 out of 10 of the Oak security capture the flag vulnerabilities. So they have 10 smart contracts, each with a different vulnerability type. And it was a challenge during Awesome Wasm to find these different vulnerabilities. So the first version, 5 out of 10. This second version that we just released captures 10 out of 10. And capture the flag is not the best representation of COSM-WASM contracts because they're really limited in scope and the vulnerabilities, even though they're actually representative of vulnerabilities in production, it's a little bit different. Like at my time professionally as a smart contract developer at Stargaze, you end up finding there's a lot of smart contracts that have multiple contract interactions. And I want to show you this like simple version, but just the idea like we're testing this on production contracts and actually finding some pretty big vulnerabilities out there. And if you want to contact me or Palan, it's going to be on Twitter, Chain Defender AI, or contact me, Ubrew, or Palan Biuza. And then on Telegram, it's the Jonas John, and then Palan B. So what we did here, we basically abstracted the AI tools, the LLM prompts. So you submit the GitHub repo, like let's say you're finishing up a PR, right? So you submit it to our web app. It does some pre-processing to make it more ingestible to LLMs. And then it runs a series of vulnerability prompts against that code. And we use GPT-4 and also Claude. It seems like GPT-4 has the best reasoning models. So that's the one that we're using now, but we're actively testing against different models, and we might end up spinning an LLM ourselves specifically for vulnerability testing. So it grabs the code, then it formats it, and then it runs like different responses, records it. And let me show you what that ends up looking like. So we go to Chain Defender here. You can type in your email. So you can go to cosmwasmai.com and then sign up through there. And when it completes the report, it ends up looking something like this. So for this one, it was capture the flag 1. And you're able to see the full results of all the capture the flag here, just for the sake of time, because it does take hours to run all these different prompts and then add the different checks to make sure that the vulnerabilities are actually accurate. So one of the problems that we're facing right now is that some of the vulnerabilities that it reports are false positives, meaning like they're not actually vulnerabilities, or they're like kind of waste of time findings. So going through just like capture the flag 1, and you can see the full report here. And just message me and I can send the full gist. But you can find for capture the flag 1, a user can mint tokens multiple times using the same lockup ID. So this is the simple code to exploit this vulnerability. Like lockup ID 1, you execute it, and then you can drain the full contract funds. So how you avoid this is with dedupe. And then same thing with capture the flag 2 and 3. So surprisingly, with our version 2 prompts, we're able to find every single vulnerability here, 10 out of 10. And the next challenge is obviously, like I mentioned before, positive, false positive filtering to make sure that every single vulnerability that you see in these reports is like a real one. It's not it's something that like auditors will report, and it'll be on parity with human auditors. So I think that's pretty much it. The idea here is to use software to make this auditing more accessible. So newer users and also power users, like full-time developers, can get their audits done on the PR level.
Thanks a lot,
And
John.
yep, that pretty much wraps it up. I mean, it's like a big unlock for the Cosmos ecosystem and smart contract developers at large.
Got it, got it. I'm just curious, when would the, the next version wherein you can eliminate the problem of false positive would be out there to use?
So the next version without the false positives, that's version 3. So I'm thinking it'll definitely get better over time. And even just we've only been working on this for 3 months now and 1 month full time. So I'm anticipating that version 3, which will have less false positives, will be out in like 2 weeks. And we've just integrated this eval system to constantly measure against capture the flag. So we're adding more evaluations from other code bases, other audit reports, to constantly improve the performance. So it's something we're really excited about. And I think it'll be in like 2-3 weeks, like new versions, new updates, and optimizations all the time.
Understood. Thanks a lot, John, for that. And John already mentioned the different ways you can reach out to him. So feel free to reach out to, in fact, any of these projects if you feel there is scope for collaboration, any question, or any feedback you'd like to give. Yeah, here you go. Thanks a lot, John.
All right.
With that, we move on to the fourth project of the demo day 2, Warped CLI. Yeah, so David from Warp, the stage is yours now.
Thank you. Excited to be here. Hello, I am Dave. I am the core contributor and coordinator of the Warp CLI project. Let me now start up the screen share. And if everything is okay, we can proceed with the presentation.
Yeah, all good. Let's go.
All right. So here you have a QR code that you can very quickly capture if you would like to be taken to the source code of the project, where you can find all the complicated information. But for the sake of this presentation, let's just start off with the simple statement that this is going. This project, Warp CLI, is basically a hard hat equivalent for CosmWasm. And that means that it is a tool that helps smart contract developers build faster, test faster, and deploy faster. So my name is David. I am a software engineer. I have been building for blockchain for over 2 years now, and I have about 5+ years of experience in backend development prior to this. And here's all my contact information if you'd like to reach me. And while building blockchain solutions, I've seen that there is a lot of room for good tooling for developers, because while we can build great apps currently, a lot of the time what we have to do is we have to kind of, well, let's see here what it looks like. For example, let's take this command as our example. This is a rather long command, and all this does really is this stores a contract to a blockchain. In this specific case, it's Archway blockchain, which is where we have been building as a Evolve NFT over the course of the past few months. This just stores a contract to the chain. Now, the second command takes that contract stored on chain and migrates it to an existing slot on chain. And it's long. This command just changes one random thing on one of our contracts. It also is kind of long. As for this one, I don't even know what it does. It just is something that we need to run. I don't even want to think about it anymore. I think you can see the general idea of what is going on here. Those things take time and effort to run consistently, and it kind of takes away from the developer experience. And that's kind of why we have built our tool, a command line interface with all the features you can see here. Those features are currently implemented. And that kind of helps us in speeding up the development process, the testing process. The tool lets you initialize new workspaces. It provides configuration for those workspaces to fit your established workflows. It lets you build new or build your contracts for production or development. It lets you deploy your contracts on your networks, create new contracts, add them to your workspace if you would like to have multiple contracts in your workspace. You can host a local node for your project for the purpose of testing. You can run tests written in JavaScript and execute commands on deployed contracts in a much more simplified manner. So essentially, let's now jump into the code for me to show you quickly what Warp actually can do for your project. So with one command, we can easily generate an entire workspace. As you can see, these are all the files in our workspace. There's a shared package here. And this package contains shared code between our contracts, particularly the models that will be used in cross-communication between different contracts. Currently, we don't have any contracts, so let's add a new one. And this contract is now going to be built. Here is the heart of the entire workspace, which is something that we have configured to work and coordinate the entire tool. So each workspace has a current network defined, some settings for easy deployment and easy configuration of the project, as well as the auto deploy section, which in and of itself is basically a definition of the entire deployment process for the entire project. So for example, here right now, I have one contract defined, and it has a bunch of parameters regarding how the deployment process will look. So we have the ID, based on this ID, we're going to be referring to the contract. We have the file that we want to deploy, label on chain. We can define if we want to just store the contract or initialize it as well. That is a feature that is useful when you want to initialize contracts on the fly. We can also pass in some arguments for migrating our contracts, and we can, of course, add in initialization messages. There's also a way to pass other settings into the deployment script, but that is all optional features. Now let me quickly go to the main project. And this is our main project that we are working on. And it's Evolve NFT, a marketplace on the Archway network. And this is kind of what inspired this entire project, the entire tool. It helps us because it lets us basically save a lot of time. So here we have our configuration file. We have a bunch of contracts that we are working on. We have our tests and in a general sense, as you can see, a bunch of tests. And now the best part is that we can essentially just very easily communicate with those contracts that we have written here, and with one command very easily deploy them to the chain, for example, if that's what we'd like to do. So we go type in deploy. We can add an R flag here to rebuild the contracts if we would like, but we can also simply just skip that. Then we go put in our passcode. It's worth noting that it's securely stored and not sent anywhere. So we just pass in the passcode once, and then it is being applied to every network call automatically. And while this is going, as you can see, all the contracts are being properly deployed in accordance with what we have specified here in the deployment script. So that is one of the bigger features that we have integrated here. The most important part of this is that it just works very well with our developer experience. Contracts, as you can see, they all get migrated to a new version automatically. And that makes it testing and prototyping, iterating on projects very simple. Now, this currently works mainly on the Archway network, but we are planning to bring it over to as many chains as possible. That's kind of the goal as of right now, to build this abstraction layer for different blockchains so that we can add in tooling for chains that have their own special features. We have started doing that with Secret Network, but it is not yet fully merged into the main project. So kind of to summarize, this project lets us build projects, build contracts, test contracts. As you can see here, I can just run a testing suit that we have written. And under the hood, it will basically take care of all that. This will take a while to run because it's an entire set of tests. So in essence, that's basically what Warp CLI is and what it does. As I said, plans for the future include allowing different chains to be very easily integrated and supported out of the box, as well as adding support for local or spinning up local test nets for different chains, so that we don't have to rely on public networks. Thank you. That's all from me.
Got it. Thanks, David. Looks very interesting. I'm on board with the idea. Yeah, with that being said, thank you everyone to all the 4 projects who presented today. And thanks everyone for watching. This was definitely, we received very good quality submissions, 60 submissions. And if anyone watching is actually curious about any of these projects or want to, go through their material once again, this would be on YouTube. But what you can also do is go to the AEZ Boost Hackathon on DoraHacks.io and head to the Build tab, wherein you can see all the projects that presented yesterday for the demo day 1 and today as well. If you see any scope for collaboration, any feedback, any questions that you would like to direct to these guys, you can also reach them out from there. Yeah, with that, again, I would like to conclude the demo day 2. And thank you everyone for watching. Thank you all the projects and all the builders over here who put their heart and soul into building what they showed us today. I appreciate your hard work a lot. Thanks a lot for joining in, everyone.
Thank you.